Hello there, and welcome to the scruffy-looking Nerd Herders podcast. I'm your host, Tyler, bringing you all things nerd and geek-related. And on this episode, I've got some Fallout 76 news, I've got some Epic Game news, I have quite a bit of Star Wars news, and some comic book news. So, here we go. So jumping right on into video game news. This is from James Batchelor at gamesindustry.biz, and he writes, Swedish authorities have mounted a surprise raid on Starbreeze's headquarters, leading to one arrest. Multiple local news outlets reported that the nation's economic crime authority have raided the studio's head office in Stockholm. Dagens Industry claims that the incident is related to, quote, gross insider crimes, end quote, which suggests insider trading. Authorities have seized computers and documents from the premises, but despite the publisher's well-documented financial troubles, the incident appears to be centered around the arrested individual rather than the company as a whole. Anne Charlotte Svensson, the publisher's investor relations chief, said in a statement, quote, the company as such is not the subject of any suspicion. The company is cooperating with the ECO. The event does not affect the company of the ongoing business reconstruction, end quote. And for those of you that did not know, earlier this week it was reported that Starbreeze faces insolvency, which is essentially bankruptcy, and that the CEO is stepping down following poor commercial performance of Overkill's The Walking Dead game. Holy shit, talk about being kicked while you're down. Not only is this company going bankrupt, and their CEO is stepping down, but now there's like insider trading. And my theory is with this is more likely what this is going to end up being is this guy was probably giving some people the heads up before there was any like insolvency or bankruptcy going on and the claims of loss of money, so that way people could sell their stock prior to the announcement that they're filing for insolvency and that there's going to be a lot of changes being made and cutbacks and stuff like that. So yeah, guys, if you're an investor and someone gives you some insider information, just don't do it because you end up getting arrested. It's not worth it. And speaking of stuff that also sucks, so Bethesda's customer support, there was a glitch in their website and it ended up leaking out the names, addresses, email, and phone numbers of customers. And on top of all that, they're also going to be replacing the bags that came with the Power Armor helmet. So there was the collector's edition. It came with a Power Armor helmet, which my buddy Mark Meir actually posted a couple pictures of his. It looks hella dope and it looks awesome, but they originally and currently still list that game edition, the collector's edition, as coming with a canvas bag, but gamers were instead given a nylon bag. And I know this seems like a complete first world problem and completely trivial, but this is essentially false advertisement. They said, hey, we're going to be giving you this canvas bag, which canvas bags are pretty expensive. I don't want to say they're expensive, but they're pricier than nylon. I mean, nylon's really cheap. It's cheap for a reason. Originally, they were just going to be giving gamers 500, like the in-game currency. So like within Fallout 76 in their microtransaction store, they were only going to give you 500 units of money to spend in the game shop, which someone on Reddit actually calculated and it equated to like $5 in real money. And I personally kind of feel like this was just another way for Bethesda to get you into their microtransaction shop, since $5 doesn't really go very far within that shop. So you'd have to spend even more real-world money to obtain something in-game. Because there was more backlash for their failed attempt at trying to mend a bullet wound with a cotton swab, they have now agreed to replace the nylon bag with an actual canvas one. So this just kind of shows, like, if you're unhappy, keep complaining because they'll make it right. So last week I actually talked about the post on Reddit from Bethesda about how they're going to be more transparent moving forward. But it seems like that was a lie. That patch that they were talking about came out today, and not only did things they said it was going to do, but they also managed to sneak in a bunch of things that they didn't even discuss last week, such as increasing the decay rate of fusion cores used for power armor, as well as lowering how quickly resources could be farmed from public camps. Some Redditors have called out Bethesda for their apparent deception in light of their post just a week ago. "You are breaking the goodwill of your player base faster than you are fixing it," one Redditor said. And there was also a litany of new bugs and glitches, some including the game just crashing at the main menu. Now, Bethesda community managers have responded saying that if they could have changed what came out yesterday, that they would, and that it's a, quote, learning point and you guys should benefit from better patch notes moving forward. So, my two main concerns, number one, is that this whole situation, like I've noticed like with Bethesda's games, when there's bugs and there's glitches in them, that the fans usually seem to come out with their own patches and fixes and essentially fix their broken games for them. Like there's already a patch out right now. It's a fan-made patch that has addressed all of these issues that they're still trying to fight. And it essentially makes the PC version of it like a complete whole game. Don't get me wrong, I love Bethesda's IPs. I've been a huge fan of Elder Scrolls ever since Arena. I played Arena on the PC way back when. And so, Elder Scrolls, and I've been a huge fan of Fallout. I didn't care for Fallout Tactics, but Fallout's always been a really fun game series to play as well. But they've always been broken. And honestly, this game should never have been released in its current state. This should have been pushed back. It should have had way more play testing done. Like I said, back when they were doing the early access beta, it wasn't really an early access beta. It was like very small play testing. And because like I've said, like any other pre-access beta that I've done, it's been extensive amount. And this just doesn't seem like they actually did a whole lot of testing. And that this truly is, like I said last week, No Man's Sky all over again. And my second complaint with this is how hard is it to put out better patch notes? Epic does it consistently with Fortnite. Blizzard does it for all of their games. Call of Duty has always had decent patch notes. Star Wars freaking Battlefront 2 has had way better patch notes than this. Whenever Battlefront 2, which was considered the linchpin in this current market of the gaming industry of holy shit, we're going on a roller coaster ride of just like shit and like it's only down from here. That was like the flag planted on the mountain. That was the hill that Gamer stood on and said, hey, like this isn't okay what you're doing in this game. When that game has better patch notes and more consistent communication with the community, that's a problem. And I just don't know how much longer Bethesda can feign the, oh, we just didn't know mentality before it like just burns all their bridges with the community. I don't understand it. Epic Games is launching their competitor to Steam. The company announced on Tuesday, December 4th, that it will soon open the Epic Games Store, a digital distribution platform that avoids Steam's standard 70-30 revenue split to give developers 88% of the revenue their games bring in. The game store will launch with a hand-curated set of games on the PC and Mac, but the company plans to open the store up to more games and platforms throughout the next year. The store will offer games made with different game engines, but will waive all royalties it would otherwise be due if you use the Unreal Game Engine, which I worked in the Unreal Game Engine for about a year when I was in college, which given that was back in like 2008, so, it's been a while, but the Unreal Game Engine is wicked easy to use. So if you're going to be developing games, you might as well use the Unreal Engine. And it's like a 5% revenue wave so you get 5% extra of your revenue. Like, you might as well just use it. And it will also have a support a creator program designed to reward the loyal YouTube, Twitch creators, cosplayers, artists, bloggers, podcasters that highlight certain developers' games. So if like you're only doing like, say there's like an indie game that comes out and you're a streamer and you only play that indie game, or you're a blogger and you highlight that game a lot, then that developer can choose to give you kickback from their revenue as a way of like, hey, here's a reward for being a creator. Like, here, we're helping support you because you've helped us, which I think is wicked cool because that eliminates people having to go through crowdfunding with Patreon. There will be no ads for competing games, which that's one thing that always really irritated me with Steam, is I'd be looking at a game and then there would be a competing game that was kind of similar, but it would be way cheaper. And I'm like, well, if I wasn't wanting this specific game and I was just kind of browsing, I would probably go for that cheaper game because it's being advertised, like $10 cheaper. And to me, I feel like that's really unfair for creators and developers to be able to have that on there. So I think that's really cool that Epic won't be having that on here. There will be no mandatory sales, so you don't have to feel obligated to put your game on sale. There will be no restrictions on cross-platform playability. So if you want PC and Nintendo Switch to play together, you can. Like, it's totally viable. Epic will be giving players one free game every 2 weeks throughout 2019, which Epic is funding out of pocket so gamers can experience their wide range of works that will be available on their service. One thing that really sweetened the pot for me is that there will be 0 forums on their service. They stated that since users generally migrate to Reddit, Discord, Twitter, and Facebook groups, they're going to leave it to the developers to run their own forums or social medias and link to them from their store pages. They intend to have a ticketing system in place for users to communicate with developers about bug reports or even questions, all to help eliminate toxicity resulting in reviews being the only native communication mechanism. That's one thing that has always fucking bugged me with Steam, is once a game gets downvoted into oblivion, it's over. Even if the game flips 180 and it gets better and the developers put in hard work and they make the game that their community wanted, users don't typically flip the review. So they'll always have it downvoted. It'll never get upvoted back again from that user. So it's always going to be skewed. Even though Steam has a forums section where you can post your complaints to the developers, but users just use the review system as a way to downvote a game, or if it's like a game that they don't think they're going to like, or just out of blind hatred, like they know, oh, well, I'm not going to like this, they'll downvote it. That's one thing that's always really bugged me, and I'm so thankful that Epic is taking those steps to really help developers. And I know a lot of people are really upset because Epic said that they've shifted their funding and their developers and stuff like that from Unreal Tournament to Fortnite. And the backlash from this is that people are upset about that, which I completely understand. But they tried to do Unreal Tournament back in 2014. It freaking bombed because while Unreal Tournament, what was it, like 2008, whatever it was, 2006, I don't remember, 2004. And while it was fun, it doesn't have I don't feel like it has a place in the current first-person shooter, I wouldn't say meta, but in the current established first-person shooters. I don't really feel like it has a place, and it just wasn't fun. It wasn't fun, I guess is the best way to put it. The new Unreal Tournament was not fun. And honestly, it just makes sense for Epic to kind of shift this way. They have this flagship game similar to how Valve had like Team Fortress 2, it had Half-Life, it had Portal, it had all these games, it had these games that they could put on there, and it makes sense. Epic has the funding right now to rival Steam if they wanted to. They have that funding because Fortnite is a literal freaking cash cow right now. It's making billions of dollars for them. And people thought EA was really pushing to have